We are back with our Christmas edition of the Screen Team. We're doing a lot of Christmas movies here on the Screen Team, first part of the hour. We got Daveen here on the Screen Team show. Daveen's with Ozark Federal Credit Union, and we've got a movie that's kind of close to what you do in life with Ozark Federal Credit Union. We're talking about It's a Wonderful Life. George Bailey, Jimmy Stewart, he plays George Bailey. He works for a savings and loan, which is close to what you do,
Similar
right?
to a credit union, yes.
George Bailey, we kind of understand that he's a normal guy. He's done a lot of good in his life. He's done some things in his life where he's like, man, I wish that would have turned out better so I could travel, so I could see the world. And he feels that he is a failure for not being able to do a lot of the things that he's wanted to do in his life. And because of that, he has a very dark moment in his life where he wants to commit suicide. And he's praying, asking for God's help, and God comes and bestows the angel Clarence on him, and he kind of shows him what life would be like without him in it. It's truly just an amazing film. What are your thoughts on this film?
For me, the reason I love It's a Wonderful Life, and this is one my husband will watch with me. Mm-hmm. He sat with me Friday night and watched it. And it's because it's simply, we never know the impact we have on another person's life.
So true.
We just think, it's all about us sometimes. And we don't realize what happens with that interaction. How did I change your world?
Yeah.
How did George Bailey change the world in It's a Wonderful Life? And he actually influenced people to have homes. Mm-hmm. He influenced them to have businesses. He built areas to where they didn't have to live with a slumlord with Mr. Potterville. Right.
He saved his brother's life, which in turn saved the lives of other soldiers.
Yes, I forgot about that. Yes, when his brother slid off, I thought it was hilarious. They used shovels for sleds and slid down onto the ice pond, and his brother fell in, and then he went in to get him, and it damaged his ear.
Yeah.
And then he worked for a pharmacist, and the pharmacist used poison in some capsules because he had just found out his son had died. And so he didn't deliver these capsules, even though he was supposed to. Yeah. And the pharmacist hit his ear again and made it bleed.
That's still a tough scene for me to watch.
More damage. I know, me too. But he wound up being his friend. But he also, the thing that was amazing to me, he understood why he was upset.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, poor me, I fell into the river saving my brother because he flew too far, or poor me because of this reason or another reason, he still took every situation in life and he analyzed it.
Yeah.
And it came out stronger because he did it for a higher reason. We all have the adventure in our heart. We all have that adventure that we want to do something, be something.
Right.
Bigger, better, stronger than what we are. But his basic instinct was to do what was right. How many of us actually take the time to do what was right?
That's a very great question. That's a great question.
And him, he did.
Yeah.
And him, he did. He wound up, his father passed. Mm-hmm. And so he put off his world travels until he took care of the savings and loan business. And then they were going to close it. Well, if they would have closed it, it would have went to Mr. Potter.
And he knew what that would have meant.
Yes. That would have meant that Mr. Potter would have had control of everything around. He was the first, I don't want to use the term mafia, but we'll call him the loan shark.
Yeah.
We'll call him the loan shark. He was the first loan shark in the town, and that meant he would control everything.
Yeah.
So he decided that he would do what's right, again, for everybody else. Maybe not for himself, but for everybody else. And he would stay there, keep the savings and loan going. And then until his Uncle Billy lost the money. Bragging to Mr. Potter of what his nephew had done, Harry had done.
Yeah.
So in doing so, he stuffed the money back in the paper when he handed it to Mr. Potter. And Mr. Potter's greedy self kept the money. Instead of saying, hey, you left your money here, his greediness once again took over. And how many of us watch that in our lives? The greediness took over, and he took something that was rightfully somebody else's. And it just did a disastrous cycle of depression, which depression, we talked about this earlier, depression's probably one of the worst things that you can have because it gives you no hope. Mm-hmm. If you have no hope, you don't look for anything else. And that depression during Christmas time is probably one of the worst things, because people feel like they are so left out. They've lost all hope. And it's like, why? Suicide rates are higher during Christmas season. But let's get back to Clarence. So he decides he's going to go to that river and he's going to jump in off the bridge. So Clarence is an angel without wings. Little Clarence. It's a hoot. He is a hoot. He's been trying for, I can't remember, over 100, 200 years, something like that, to get his wings and still failed. So they give him George Bailey to try to earn his wings with. So he jumps off the bridge instead of George. So George jumps in to get him. A whole different conflict.
Because he knew that George would go in and...
His basic instinct was to protect people, so he would save him.
Right.
I love that. You can jump in for two reasons. You can jump in because you're hopeless, or you can jump in because you want to help save somebody. So the Christmas season, I'm encouraging people to jump in to save somebody. Not jump off a bridge, but jump in to save them emotionally. Jump in to save them spiritually, helping them understand that there is more to life than whether you do or don't have 14 Christmas trees in your house. There's more to life than whether you have all the tchotchkes sitting around that you've got to dust and clean. But it's to be there for somebody, to encourage them.
And that's the true meaning of Christmas.
Yes, it is. So Clarence actually comes out, and I think the most hilarious thing was watching the guy that was the toll taker in the house, in the little cabin. As Clarence was drying out, George was drying out, and he tells him he's an angel, and I mean, he's like going...
Falls out of his seat. And,
David just laughs at that every time. So he's there, and he's running away real quick because he thinks they're both nuts at this point. I'm just getting out of here. But long story short, he shows George, he takes that the memory cycle of what would have happened if you weren't born. Because he says, I wish I'd never been born.
Yeah.
We always look to those extremes in life, but I wish I'd never been born.
And Clarence is like, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this might work.
Let's do this. So they do. They take him on that trip to see Martinez is no longer Martinez. The town actually becomes...
Potterville.
Yeah, Potterville, and there's types of... nightclubs, bars, wine, women, and song all down. And if you'll notice, there was nothing really on the streets other than those type of things. There was nothing that was enticing families. It was all selfishness, greed. And that's the way Potter's life was. It was built with selfishness and greed. Not that those things are all, how do you say, that everybody has places. But
moderation.
His whole life was full of them. So, long story short, he decides that maybe his life wasn't so bad after all. Yeah. And he just wants to go back. He wants to make it right. He wants to own up.
I want to live again.
Yes.
I want to live again.
He wants to see his wife and his family. So he goes, Clarence grants him his wish. He goes home, and he sees his kids hugging, kissing, and the whole town that he has helped came to help him. The whole town started bringing, and it was all over $8,000.
Yeah.
It wasn't, and then it was monumental. In 1954, it was monumental. But $8,000 he was willing to give his life up for.
Yeah.
I'm thinking dollars and cents here. I'm thinking, oh, my word. But the town follows through, and they start giving him everything that they have to help him get out of that $8,000. And it's more than enough to pay the bank examiner for misappropriation of funds, which is what Mr. Potter had accused him of, simply because he wouldn't be kind.
I love that last scene. I love it a lot. It really almost makes me cry every time I watch it, where his brother gives him the toast. He's like, to my brother, the richest man in town, or whatever. But it's like, yay! And that classic last line of the movie, teacher, every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings. And he's like, that's right. That's right. Great movie. Great series of movies. Davine, thank you so much for being on the show.
It's an honor. Thank you.
Appreciate you being on it. But before you leave, tell folks again about how people can get more information on Ozark Federal Credit Union, Zoe's blog, and everything that you guys do.
Well, actually, we have our Facebook page. You can go there. You can go to our website, ozarkfcu.com. But on there, there's a calendar. More importantly, we have a little calendar segment that we're putting on our website. And in that calendar, it gives you ways that you can reach out to others. We have the ABC ministry that's happening right now with the bread shed. We have Pictures with Santa that we are taking for kids for free. I will mail them to them. We have the Christmas parade coming up, the lighted Christmas parade coming up. So in that, throughout the year, we just did pictures for Princess for a Day, and all
nice.
the money went to the Palm Squad so that they could go to Orange Bowl, Citrus Bowl, Peach Bowl, whatever that bowl was. I don't know. It was a fruit bowl. But they went there, and they needed to raise money for it. But we try to find ways that we can give back to the community. So on that little segment of our calendar, please check it periodically, see if there's something that we're doing that if you want to get involved with in it, give us a call. We'll let you help us out. If you want to work with a particular group or a demographic, or if you need us to work with a particular demographic and I don't know about it yet, or I haven't reached out to it yet, we would be honored to do so. Part of the credit union's philosophy is people helping people. It's not all about houses and cars. We do that. You know we do that. We are a banking institution under a credit union label, and that credit union label is strictly people helping people, and so that's what we're all about.
Kind of like with George Bailey in the movie,
Yes.
man. It's about helping others out, and it's a very cool thing. So they can check you guys out on the web. Zoe's blog is on there as well, a link to there. And man, how do you keep everything intact, Davine? How do you do it, man?
I'm grateful for each day. I'm just grateful for each day.
Awesome. It was a pleasure to have you on the show. Looking forward to have you again very, very soon. We're going to be back here in just a few minutes, and we're going to be doing the documentary Frank and Ollie. That's next on KWOC.